So this first one was an observational study. Remember, an experiment, you are controlling the explanatory variable. So giving them Diet Coke or regular Coke, something like that. Okay. It's the control of the variable. Are the participants choosing to do the action by themselves, or are you controlling it in a way that helps control confounding variables? Okay, the population, what is it? It's the 9,500 registered voters. Okay. Notice that I found the probabilities for Brown, Feliz, and undecided on the side, just because. What size was the population? 9,500. The sample, how many people did we actually talk to? 350 registered voters. Describing it, that means tell me the number and who you talked to. Okay. Size of the sample, 350. And then the sample statistic is the proportion of your sample that had a certain characteristic. So 112 out of the 350 people in your sample had that specific characteristic. Okay. What does representation means? It matches the population. Yeah. No, it's not describing how you took the sample. It's who the sample is. So it's not describing the sampling method. It's just describing who's in your sample. Yep. But I see where you were going with that. Okay. If it's representative, it means it matches the population. If I wanted to know what was going on with Hillcrest students, I wouldn't just ask you guys. You're mostly seniors. I would want to ask a mix of everybody. I'd have to talk to some freshmen. Okay. Now, if it is representative, I skip that. Okay. Then, if 32 is from the sample, 32%, then we assume that was what would happen in the population, that 32% of the population would want that candidate. Okay. If it's representative, then you can just say, okay, it was 32% of the sample, so it's probably 32% of the population. And there are lots of sources of bias. Okay, I gave you a second one of these. I think you should look at it as well, because they're definitely going to ask stuff like this. You need to go back and look at your different types of bias and sampling, etc. Okay. All right. So for this, let's talk about your histogram real quick. Relative frequency is just the percent, okay? 4 out of the total, 7 out of the total. Cumulative, and I actually answered somebody's question wrong earlier because I gave them cumulative relative. Cumulative is adding them up. So we had 4. And then we had 4 plus 7, so that's 11. And then we had 4 plus 7 plus 6, so that's 17. If you put it over 25, that is something different. That is the cumulative relative, which is what I thought it was. Okay. So that would be 4 over 25. 11 over 25, 17 over 25. This one will add up to the total, and this one will add up to 1. All right. How many students were surveyed total? 25. If you're out on your phone, get off of it. This was one of the most interesting or hardest part. It said 4 class intervals. Okay, it means we want to break the data up so there are 4 columns. This would be a bin width of 2. Because in here, that's 0 and 1. In here is 2 and 3, 4 and 5, these are the numbers 6 and 7. So what I said was, well, and notice I didn't write it in here. It is just a number line at the bottom. And then this is 0 up to, but not including 2. So 1.999999999. But since we have discrete data, it's just 0 and 1. 2 and 3, 3 and 4, or sorry, 4 and 5, and 6 and 7. Okay, now the 5-number summary for this. You could put all the data in a row. So you have 4 zeros, 7 ones, dot, 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 and find the minimum, the number that cuts it into quarters, halves, right, 3/4, and the max. But if I had data like this, I wouldn't do that. I'd put it in my calculator. I'd say my data is in list 1, my frequency is in list 2, and I would do 1 variable stats, list 1, because that's my data, list 2, and then it will give me all of that information. Now, I'm going to do a caveat, and I'm going to have you turn to your review 2. So I guess let's finish this real quick. I'm trying to look at your test because they just threw it. Okay, hold on. So this is how you would find minimum, Q1, Q2, Q3, maximum. And you would use those values to do the box plot. Okay. Remember, if you were going to do a modified box plot, you would check for outliers. This doesn't have any outlier. What's nice about the test is they're going to give you the box plot and have you read it, most likely, because it's an online test versus you making it. But notice this is the minimum, Q1, Q2, Q3, and the max. This is checking for outliers, just like we did on the Tootsie Pop project. I'll let you go back and look at that. Okay, and I will post all of this, okay, along with me talking about it right now. I'd like to say, though, let's go through your packet, okay, and look at exam review 2, where it gives you numbers like 15.2, 18.8, 19.3. It's the box of decimals, so right here. So this is asking about mean and standard deviation, right? Which we'll talk about on the previous page that you've already looked at. But then it's also asking for the minimum, quartile 1, median, quartile 3, and max. Unfortunately, I just looked at the test and they're being super mean. They do not want the minimum, Q1, Q2, Q3, and max that you've been doing this whole time. They want what's in the book, because technically I'm supposed to be assigning reading for you this whole year. But I didn't, because I can give you what's in the reading, and you were already drowning. So I will show you how to do this. Write this down. It is an open note test. Is it a note? Is it in your binder? You better put it in your binder. There you go. All right. So here's the deal. If you go into your book, they actually have a section where they talk about it. Okay, so go to the data statistics, and I just did Control F and looked at. They want you to use what's called the locator method. and it's this. Okay, it's that okay, if you wanted, oh goodness. Okay, so obviously what's the min going to be here? That doesn't change. 15.2. Okay, and make sure you put them in order from smallest to largest. Now for Q1, okay, it's going to be, I don't know why it keeps doing that, 0.25 times the number of numbers. How many numbers do I have? 8. So 0.25 times 8 gives me 2. Okay, if this is a whole number, use the number between it and the next one. So we're going to take L, this is L, it's a locator. Okay, to find Q1, I should say, L plus L1 divided by 2 equal Q1. Let me show you what that means. It's not as scary as it looks. Okay, if I were to put these in order, 15.2, well, I got the first 4, so 20.2, 21.8, 22.1, 29.4, okay? So this is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, okay? Would you agree that this is n equals 2? So it wants you to take this number plus this number and divide by 2. So, okay, 18.2 plus 19.3. This has never been on a previous test. I'm sure this is on there because that's what they found on the computer program. Thank you, friend. Divided by 2. Will somebody do that for me, please? So that is your quartile 1. Okay. So the next one then, if you wanted quartile 2 or the median, that would be 0.5 times n. And this one actually would be the same number out of your calculator, because your calculator would already do this. 0.5 times n would be your locator for that. So 0.5 times 8, right, is 4. So we'd go to fourth one plus fifth one. This would already be what we would normally do. 19.7 plus 20.2. Divide that by 2, and what do we get? Divide it by 2, because we want it halfway in the middle. Somebody do that for me. What is it? 19.95. Okay. Okay, quartile 3 then. Could you guess quartile 3 is 0.75 times the number of numbers, and that would be what they call your locator. So 0.75 times n is the is 6, right? And so then go to between 6 and 7, 21.8 plus 22.1 divided by 2. Somebody tell me. Okay, and there you go. And then your maximum, so basically they're finding the number right in here, right in here, right in here. And in all honesty, the way this specific data worked out, that's what you would have gotten anyway, okay, if you'd used the calculator. However, it doesn't always work that way. The maximum is what number? 29.4. Here's the issue. See how I said if it's a whole number, use the number between, so we're doing the adding up. If your locator, so this is the one side part, if your locator is a decimal, round up and use that number. So let's pretend that we had the numbers 7, 8, 10, 12.
So does that have to be an odd number? No. Yeah.
To make that work, yeah.
So this is what we are.
Yeah. So for this one, okay, if I wanted Q2, wouldn't that be 0.5 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 data points, right? Which is 2.5. So it says round that up, that would be 3. Oh, we would learn this number. Isn't that the median you would normally use?
Yeah.
So that's it. So it just depends. If they give you an even number, it'll be just like this. If they give you an odd number, then your median is going to have to round up. It'll be what? It's the third one no matter what. Yep, if you round up, you just get to use it. If you got a whole number in the first place, then you have to average the two.
So if it's an even number, you can put it into a calculator.
I would be very careful. I would show the work on your paper because they're wanting locator method. Because they're specifically asking for that. I would show you work. Because I don't know what they're going to do if they come back and say what partial credit I can give. Okay, so right now I don't think I can give partial credit, but they came back from my 1050 class and allowed me to, and so now I have a stack of their tests that I'm recreating for partial credit, so you might as well cover your butt. Okay, all right, so we only have, oh, we have 1 minute, yeah.
So what do you need to show?
For the locator stuff, I would expect this. Okay, now there's a lot more on this review that I thought we would get to that we didn't. I'm going to post the key, and then I will be there from 9 to 11 on Friday, or more if you need it. Okay, I will also be around because I really wanted to go through more of this with you than we got to. So do it all, check the key, and then see me with questions. Don't walk into the test blind. You got this, you got open notes, and you got me to help you. You got it.